Never.
Yes. Which one? Oh yeah, Whitney. Marina. Yeah.
Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for coming to the President's Roundtable. We here at Duane Morris are pleased to host the event here this month. My name is Mark Steiner. I'm on the board of the Chamber, and I will be introducing Bob Lynchide, our President and CEO of the Chamber. But as a lot of people here have commented, we do have beautiful space. We're very fortunate. And as you can see, Duane Morris does, we are a law firm that practices in a lot of areas of law. I'm an intellectual property attorney. I handle trademark and copyright matters. So that really involves a lot of brand protection. So all of us have our names, logos, etc., domain names that we need to protect and enforce. So that's the kind of thing I do. The firm also does everything from soup to nuts: immigration, white-collar criminal defense cases, employment law, real estate, a lot of insurance coverage issues, you name it. And we have offices in a lot of parts of the country, and in fact in various places around the world as well, although San Francisco is our third largest office. So welcome and thanks for coming. Let me introduce Bob Lynchide. I've come to know Bob through my involvement with the Chamber. And I don't know, Bob's been at the Chamber, what, about a year and a half, 2 years now? And from what I can tell, he's done quite a lot to bring the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce into the 21st century. A lot of changes and frankly a lot of exciting things happening, which I'm sure he'll tell you about and you can ask questions about. So it's really been a pleasure for me to get to know Bob and to get to know the Chamber. It's been wonderful. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Bob Lynchide.
Thanks, Mark. I Duane Morris. Particularly want to recognize Steve Sutro, managing partner here for Duane Morris. We held an event here about 6-7 months ago, and it was the CEO reception, and it was wonderfully attended. The view out this window, I don't know where it's better other than my apartment on the 19th floor of Davis Court. No, I'm kidding. I actually moved from there because I had an aversion to heights. So I won't be looking out the window here. But thank you for coming. This is an idea that sprouted about 2 years ago on an opportunity to meet and gather and have decent conversation about San Francisco. I think we're all here for a reason. San Francisco is a pretty awesome place. Sometimes our government makes it more difficult than it should, but it is an awesome place, and it's awesome because prosperity has happened, and prosperity doesn't happen in government. Prosperity happens when jobs are created, people are put to work, and investment occurs. I was just telling Steve a second ago that some results came out on national venture capital numbers. And San Francisco, by itself, is 38% of all the venture capital invested in the country is in San Francisco. Now, that's an astonishing number, right? It's in the billions. And what happens when investment occurs, wealth is created and jobs are created. And that's really the mission of the Chamber, is to foster a climate or to attract and retain and grow business in San Francisco. And we do that by paying attention to the business climate. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, before anybody takes a bite, we're going to pass the microphone around and let you, and hear this very carefully, because we're in a law firm, right? And we can do extractions if you go too long. So your name and your company, right? Not your business model, not how much money you're seeking in venture, your name and your company, and then we'll circulate so everybody knows who's in the room. All right, we're going to start down here.
Hello, I'm Donald Duslip, and I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
Mark Steiner here at Duane Morris.
Chris Rivers with the University of San Francisco.
Camille Velasic with the Chamber of Commerce.
Craig Giotti from Internship Desk.
Rashmi Singh from ARIA.
Laura Brusher, Technology Credit Union.
Paul Jansen from Zerk's Smart Parking.
Whitney Larson with International Pro Insurance.
Marina Costabile with Walsh Carter Insurance Services.
Vivian Leon-Lurchie with Leon-Lurchie Law Group.
Kitty Kotzebue, the Resource Corner.
Hello, I'm Kathleen Walensky with the PGA Tour.
Ian Burnett with Markham.
Hello, Ryan Axelson with Trinet.
Rob Burke with McCloskey Mattress.
Kevin McCullum with Zebra Real Estate.
Victor Hassan, Strategic Human Resources Consulting.
Silnovi Merchant with Argosy University.
Wanda Alfaro with City National Bank.
And Charles Besnon with City National Bank.
Hello, Norma La Rosa with Management Action Programs Consulting.
Mark McLaughlin with CBRE.
John Jiddo, Bank of San Francisco.
Carlos Fernandez, Social Media for the Uncomfortable.
Hi, good afternoon. Craig Vandermouse with the Chamber.
Catherine Whipple with Payroll Resource Group, PRG.
Jim Borgart with Parsons Breaker Hoff.
Laura Chu with New York Life.
Drew Bagdasarian with DRB Associates.
Hello, Marshall Wilson with the Chamber.
Larry Wood, DZH Phillips, CPAs. Steve Sutro, Duane Morris.
Wade Pitts, 4 Point Capital, not a VC firm.
Josh Jacob with the Chamber.
Paul Rosenlund with Duane Morris.
Charlize Hyatt with DZH Phillips.
Marty Schmigan, Explain Consulting.
Yes, we did. Cindy Fassler with Professional Career Placements.
Great. Now let's do that one more time.
No.
We went through beautifully. Nobody got to get fined or anything. So what I'd like to do to start the comments is let's play a marketing video. The Chamber in San Francisco belongs to the Western Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives, which is a super regional executives organization that I belong to, and so does members of my staff. And each year they recognize great communication tools. And I'm happy to report that this video that you'll see won an award at the most recent conference of the WAC, the Western Association of Chamber Executives, at Disneyland. Can you imagine such a place?
Don't look out.
Every size, every industry, every neighborhood.
We started across the city.
Yeah.
We're gonna start over. That was test one, right?
Sound check.
We are energized.
Chamber represents all businesses.
Every size, every industry, every neighborhood.
Across the city.
Yeah. We are energized.
And we work together.
The sound.
for ourselves.
We do what's right for business, ours. We are champions for business.
We are partners in prosperity.
For the last 160 years, and for many more,
The Chamber is San Francisco.
So you see, about a year and a half ago, we went through a major rebrand, and our there we go. I want to be able to see you all. A year and a half ago, we went through a rebrand, and at the same time, going through the rebrand, we had an opportunity to talk to our members about what they liked about us, what they didn't like about us, what they felt that we needed to work on, and we did a lot of listening in this process. And one of the things that we found out, being a 165-year-old organization, is we can't rely on the old chamber to be in the new economy. And so we went through this process of going through a rebrand, and the logo that you saw represented with the 24 individual icons in there, what that represents in the minds of the designer, Primo Angeli, who some of you may know. He did the Microsoft brand, a little small beverage company called Coca-Cola, really a stellar designer. And what he wanted to accomplish by that is, he said, when you have people look at your logo, you want to try to see where they fit in. So was it the baseball stadium, or was it the cable car, or was it the windmill representing clean energy? You know, where is it? Because if we are San Francisco, we think and we act for ourselves, right? We're known for being a little different, and that's okay. And following that exercise, we began a process of a more of a strategic thinking process. Because as a community of San Francisco, we have a wide variety of people that work and live here. It's becoming more difficult to work and live here because of a lot of reasons. And some of those we'll talk about today. My role as the CEO of the Chamber is to work very closely with the board of directors, like Mark and some others that are in the room, to chart a course that represents the best interest of all business in San Francisco. And that, in fact, is our unique value proposition. The San Francisco Chamber's unique value proposition is that we're the only organization that represents all business. Every size, every ethnic organization, every size of company, every industry. And so, as we put that branding strategy together and in our strategic plan, we kept all that in mind. And so you'll hear a lot about things that we're doing, and some of them you'll want to participate in, and some of them you won't. But I thought I would start today by just giving that little bit of a background to you, so you can get a picture as to why we exist, what we're doing, and things that we're involved with. I'm going to take 2 more minutes and talk about our 3 pillars, and then I want to do some listening, because as we approach issues in San Francisco, the most important thing we can do is engage. Find areas for you to have involvement, engage you in those processes, and hopefully your business improves as a result of it. So our 3 pillars, and they're no particular order, but our first pillar is advocacy. Because we represent all business, things that go on in City Hall aren't always to the best interest of business. We know that, right? We know that you have a group of 11 well-meaning people. Very few of them have run a business. They're involved in the world of public service. And so they rely on organizations like ours to give them input. And And we would be remiss if we didn't represent your needs and interests at City Hall. In fact, 3 of us were at City Hall today for different reasons. And we've actually calculated that on the average, 50 hours per man-hours per week are spent at City Hall on behalf of business in San Francisco. That's pretty significant, right? Yeah. So if you multiply that times 50 weeks a year, because we take a couple weeks off, and of course, City Hall closes, or I should say, the supervisors are on recess for the month of August, thank God. And that gives us an opportunity to refresh ourselves. And so in doing that, whether it's formula retail issues or minimum wage or any regulation that impacts business, where our true success comes is convening people like you together for common interests. So we're going to talk about what issues are the top of mind for you today. And what we do with that information, of course, is feed it to the appropriate locations. So advocacy, number 1. Second is economic development. Economic development defined as the creation and retention of jobs. When the economy was down, folks came together, even labor and business came together to create alliances that basically said, hey, we're all about jobs. And at that same time, Mayor Lee was anointed as mayor and then eventually ran for his office, and now he's running again this November. He's been good for business. He cares about business. He understands the significance of the economic condition that business provides in San Francisco. And so as economic development, we are the instrument that basically works with companies to attract them here. There's several people in the room that I've worked with on companies that are looking at San Francisco to locate or relocate. And you know what's interesting? A lot of the growth that's occurred in San Francisco has occurred from companies that weren't founded in San Francisco but decided to make major investments in San Francisco. Let me think who they are. Cisco was on that chart there that basically says that Duane Morris, Cisco Litigation Counsel of the Year. That's pretty significant, Steve, to have that recognition. But Cisco wasn't founded in San Francisco. Actually, Cisco was founded in San Francisco. You'll kind of notice on their little logo there that that's the bridge. And it was founded by a woman by the name of Sandy Lerner, just happened to be a Chico State graduate. No fair weather fan there. But Cisco was founded on the premise in San Francisco, relocated to San Jose, but now they're back through the acquisition of a company that was founded by 3 MIT engineers called Meraki, and Cisco paid $1.2 billion for them in December of 2012, and now has a facility out at Terry Francois. So that's one example. Google's another example. LinkedIn's another example. All companies that are investing mightily in San Francisco. And what's attracting them to it other than the technology? It's people. And so you'll see that as the key pinnacle of economic development is the attraction to people. Next Wednesday, the Chamber has its 165th annual meeting. It's called the City Beat Breakfast. We can still take your reservation if you're interested in going. The City Beat Breakfast theme is it's all about talent. And Bernard Tyson, the chairman of Kaiser, will be speaking. The chancellor for the California State University system, the largest four-year institution system in the country, will be speaking about the role that education is playing in creating all this talent. Pat Waters, the Global Talent Organization Vice President for LinkedIn, will be speaking, and the Mayor of San Francisco. And the Mayor is going to make an announcement about a new collaboration with the Chamber, an organization, actually an initiative called Unite SF. The Chamber is going to be responsible for helping convene and bring in business and education together, because statistics show that by 2025, California will be 1 million bachelor's degrees below what's needed, what the demand is. And unless we get more kids through high school, into college, into careers, whether it's vocational or four-year, then we're not going to reach that talent yet. And so that's all part of the economic development focus that we are involved in. University guy clapping. And the third is business development. You know, if we can't help you thrive, then we're not doing our job. But we need to hear from you. And so our business development sector is headed up by Craig Vandermouse in the back. Wave your hand, Craig. He's the guy during the football season you'll see with a piece of cheese on his head. Not everybody gets that. Packer from Wisconsin. Well, he's from Wisconsin. He's one
Change that.
So Craig heads up our organization in the business development side. It's, you know, we're just not a nonprofit organization. We're a sales and marketing organization. Sales and marketing is the hotbed of any business. If you can't sell a product, if you can't market your product to others, then you're not going to be very successful. So through Craig's pillar, we perform that. The economic development section of the chamber is headed by Dennis Conahan, who is the executive director of the San Francisco Center for Economic Development. I might add that very few metro chambers also have economic development under their responsibility. LA Chamber, there's the LA Economic Development Corporation, separate organizations. San Diego Regional Economic Development Organization, separate from the chamber. We are lucky enough to have kept both under one roof, largely because of the relationships that we have with businesses, but also the global networks that we created. You see, the San Francisco Center for Economic Development has China SF, it has SF Asia, which is the Southeast Asia, Latin SF, working very closely with those consulates and those countries to either encourage business to come here or for our business to do business with those countries. So we have business development, economic development, and advocacy are the three pillars of the organization. And we just completed our strategic plan. Our board meets tomorrow. We'll be providing them plenty of update. And of course, with February comes spring training, and one of our special guests tomorrow is Larry Bear. Some of you know who Larry is. So that, in a summary, is what we're about. What I'd like to do, should we try that other video?
We can try.
Let's try that other video. Just close off what I want to show you is the chamber. We're not doing events just for the sake of doing events. We're doing events that are stellar, that are unique to ourselves, that represent opportunities for people to get connected. And we'd like to play a video here as an example of an event that we put on in October. It'll be put on again this year. And some of these folks you may recognize.
This is a great event. I mean, look at this crowd.
It brings a lot of joy, it brings a lot of excitement. It's a great promotion for the city.
You can tell the excitement out here. People are excited. The place is fun. It's a great welcome, and the players appreciate it.
I think the Warriors Tip-Off Luncheon is great because it shows who we are as San Francisco and who we will become going forward.
The inspiration behind this event is when the Warriors made a decision. They wanted to be in San Francisco. It's the Chamber's responsibility through our mission of attracting, retaining, and supporting business. And we will be at the forefront of making that happen.
The Chamber of Commerce has played a huge role in the arena project, partnering with the Warriors. So it's very exciting as we look ahead to playing in front of great fans. It's going to be a lot of fun.
San Francisco Chamber of Commerce.
You say to yourself, what's better than this? You get to hear a little bit about the Warriors, you get to meet their new coach, you get to interact with the players, the fans, other people in Warriors administration. I mean, what else can you ask for?
I love the city. This is my city. I grew up on Clement Street, and it's always kind of a homecoming for me. The Chamber of Commerce is a big part of what's happening in San Francisco.
When you think about partnership and what we're trying to achieve by being involved with this type of an event, it's to promote innovation, to promote relationships, and understanding what like-minded people are looking for within the community.
It's a great way to network. It's a great way to entertain. It's a good way for people to hear your story as an organization, the things that you're involved with.
You get to see all the players in one city. You get to hear about the business of basketball. You get from players about what it's like to play with each other and to enjoy the game of basketball. You can't miss it.
Hey, this is Stephen Curry from the Golden State Warriors. Join me for the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce Warriors tip-off lunch.
So nobody else is able to do that event. That's our event. We call it our own. And I dare say Charles and your associates there at City National probably had a heck of a good time talking to Stephen Curry, don't you think? Why do we do that? Why is it important for San Francisco? Well, needless to say, the investment that's going to occur in Mission Bay as a result of the Warriors. Now, we were in favor of the Warriors Arena going on Pier 30 and 32, even though, Mark, I know that would block your view out of your place. But the fact is that that's a great economic engine for the city and county of San Francisco. And this new location, not only are they going to be able to build the arena near the Terry Francois location, but also 500,000 square feet of office space, which we, of course, desperately need, right? That was a little bit supposed to be a joke. But my point is that that's the kind of thing we want to be known for as an organization, is being bold, be strong in our commitment to business, and to be there for you when you need us. You'd be surprised to know that there are upwards of 40,000 businesses in some fashion in San Francisco. And while we don't have but a small market share of that, I believe if we can be the organization that we're designed to be, we'll be better served for it, and you will be as members. Okay, so enough of the promotions. What I'd like to do is take a minute, and because we've got a few minutes before you probably want to hit your trains or move on. But I'd like to spend a second talking about, and we're not going to go around and get everybody's input, we're going to do a show of hands, or raise your hand. Okay, the question is this: what issues on top of mind for you today? Could be an issue related to cost of living, it could be a number of things. So I want to just hear from the group issues that are on top of mind for you today. Yes?
Hi, I'm Vivian Leology. I just started my own practice after many, many years of working for law firms, and I want to know what the Chamber can do for new businesses.
Okay. So if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do, then, Vicki?
Vivian.
Vivian. New business. Okay, I'm going to write some things down and we'll get back to that, okay? Next. What else? Yes, sir.
As Paul with Zerks, as parking spaces become more valuable, how can my company actually access more of them to make it easier for other businesses to spend their money in San Francisco?
Okay. Next, yes.
How can we make the city bureaucracy more developer friendly?
Developer and business friendly, huh? Okay, everybody else? Yes?
I'm going to keep saying it in every round table. Helping San Francisco, $2.44 on every hour. Maybe Mark can help us with that. It's, Gavin Newsom's legacy that he left behind, said it wasn't a tax. It really affects us, especially in the staffing arena.
Yeah. Next. Yes, sir.
Healthcare. What is, I think on that same note, is what's going on with healthcare and
how is San Francisco more streamlined healthcare?
It's along the same lines as this issue. Yes,
creating sustainable relationships between business and education. Sustainable, efficient.
Basically talk about business and
right in all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Next, yeah, Charles.
About affordable housing or equitable housing.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Affordable manufacturing space. Or just manufacturing space. Doesn't even have to be affordable.
Barge on the bay.
Just anything. Barge quality.
You're talking about in San Francisco, right?
In San Francisco would be nice, yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, let's start with the discussion here. Vivian talked about things that we do for business, particularly in the early stages of starting, right? Craig, you want to come and talk a little bit about that with me?
Sure.
So Craig Vandermouse, let's give him a big hand by the way.
Well, thank you. So is the question more about how do I gain, I didn't hear, excuse me, was it more about how I gain access to new business, or is it?
No. The question is, if you're starting up a new business in San Francisco, what advantages do we have in joining the chamber?
Oh, and joining the chamber as a new business. Yeah, I can, absolutely. I think, well, there are many. I think one area would be our small business university, and that's a new program that's been developed. I'll give you 2 examples of what programs we had put together. In January, it's hard right now to understand advertising. What do I do? How much do I do of it? Because we were limited on resources, right? Well, we had our first program was at Google, and it was all about Google AdWords. Because you can spend a boatload of money in Google AdWords as a small business. But what's the right, how much should you spend? Where do you focus your dollars inside the advertisement? So that was one area. The second was ADA compliance. I'm a small business. Should I have that? Well, the answer is you need to be thinking about it, because the last thing you want is someone to be able to come after you because you're not ADA compliant. So we put on programs like that to be able to ensure that as a small business you understand what things to look out for in business development. The other thing is the SBAC, which is the Small Business Advisory Council. That's an area that focuses in on advocacy. And so as a small business, each month, and in fact, yesterday, we were inside a city hall with a small group that focused on how do you, and show a hand of who was at the SBAC yesterday. Okay, we have you. Good. And so I'd be happy, I wasn't at that event, but I think it's an opportunity for you to connect with our leaders inside a city hall to be able to help you navigate through. Those are just 2 small examples. Would you like to comment on how it was yesterday at the SBAC?
Sure. It was really informative. For me personally, being a small business, getting to know some of the key players that are working with ADA compliance, how your building should be received, how the bureaucracy that you have to go through, how to cut through that bureaucracy. And we talked about some different ways for the chamber and for us as business owners to connect with these 2, and I apologize, one was Carla Jensen, and I can't think of the other person's name, that is part of the mayor's team. But it was it was a good opportunity for me to get to hear what City Hall is doing and what their concerns are and how they want to help us as small businesses navigate through something that could be quite time-consuming and expensive.
What Vivian, I think, could relate to you specifically, and I have a bad memory, so usually I try to create an acronym. The acronym is AIR. Access, Information, and Resources, I think, are the pinnacle of what we're looking for to try to help a new business in the chamber. access to new business or new markets, whether it's national or international. We have access for those purposes. Information. Steve was asking me, tell me some statistics that are going on that might be helpful to share with my partners. Information is very, very important. We have connections with Gallup and others that provide detailed information for us that could be potentially helpful. And then resources. Hey, I've got a problem. Can you help me? We think we're a pretty good bridge between the issues that businesses face and the solution. It may reside in an existing room where a person says, hey, I've got this idea that possibly can help you. So that's specifically as it relates to the business.
And really, our value prop too, and I'll let you, excuse me, our value prop too is, we'll represent all business. So it's not this focus of just hotels, it's not this focus of just travel, it's not this focus of just restaurants. The focus will be across the board. So our hope is that, especially in your business development initiatives, you'll have that ability to be able to convene and work with other businesses for business development. But there are other opportunities inside of our quiver.
Right, I agree. You hit the nail on the head. It's not like if you're starting out a new business and you're only a month in, you're not thinking about, what's ADA compliance? What other esoteric terms there might be, but what are the basics? That's what we want to know, how do we start out? What do we look for resources in both funding and marketing and that sort of thing?
Sure. The other thing is your specialty is probably not going to be intellectual property. I'm not going to say what it is, but you may have forging relationships with others who don't share your same and aren't competing with you. So that's what we hope you find in a relationship.
Thank you very much.
Okay, as far as the issue of parking and building, let's face it, one of the reasons why we've got escalating costs, particularly for housing and office space, is we didn't do a good job 10 years ago in developing housing. I mean, if you look at the number of units that were produced over the last 10 years, we're only now starting to ramp up, and it's too late to affect the economy or the economics of it. Well, same thing is true for parking. I do think, though, that there's a limitation on how to get around in San Francisco. Frankly, it's easier for me at times to get from the East Bay to my office than it is from my house in the marina, or my apartment in the marina. At 5:30 in the morning, it's no problem. Right? But at 8 o'clock, it's a little bit different. So I got to tell you that both of these are kind of related. The bureaucracy of development, it's a matter of being business-friendly, period. And there are many, many examples, and Jim Lazarus says this, and he's our senior VP of public policy. He says oftentimes that we delay the inevitable. And unfortunately, that's true. But what I prefer to say is we provide an alternative to the inevitable. And that is like minimum wage. Most people in this room it didn't impact, but I know a lot of people it did. And I can tell you that estimates are going to be that we're going to lose 13,000 to 15,000 jobs in small business because of it. Now, that's not good. But the reality of it is we had a situation where the unions had a petition to have minimum wage increased by this year to $15. We were at least able to spread it out for 3 years. Now, was it a victory? No. It just delayed the impact. And I think that's the way it is a lot, whether it's parking spaces or spaces for housing. San Francisco's a delightful place. The alternative is to make it not delightful, to make it not an attractive place. And I don't think we want that either. Right?
Well, the reason
Give me your reaction on that.
My reaction would be there's so many spaces that exist that already go underutilized. How do we actually gain access to those, say, in a business that actually has parking that isn't actually finished? I mean, how would my company potentially have access to that to provide additional, because space is the biggest limiting factor in the city. And until the community can actually keep up with demand, I'd like to make sure that we can use every space that we have available to us that may be not even just overlooked or inaccessible to other companies.
Well, I'd love to hear one off with you. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit later.
Love to.
Yeah. Don,
Yeah, the reason why I brought that up today is because I just read this morning from Business Times how the developer in the mid-market had pulled out their development altogether for working with the city because the city was imposing, basically forcing them to create this arts and culture center for the Tenderloin on the dime of the developer and not so much on the city's own wallet. So the developer said, it's just not making financial sense here. We're just going to pull out, not develop this project that spans 3 blocks on Market.
Yeah. I have no defense for that type of direction. I can tell you though, we have several examples that have happened over the last couple of months where one of our board members came to us regarding a business he was aware of that had a permit problem, and because they were a going concern creating jobs, we were able to leapfrog that concern to get the permit done. And we can't often say that, but that was a successful outcome. I can't remember the type of company, Craig probably can, but we have many examples. So we can only help when we know that there's a problem. So please, be our ambassadors, be our ears to the ground. Tell us when there's a concern or a problem specifically, and maybe we can work on something together. We do that all the time. Okay? Healthy SF. I don't know what to tell you, Kenny. Tell you what, next time we have an issue, bring it up, okay? No. What Kitty's talking about is San Francisco has a law that you either provide health care insurance for your employees or you pay into a Healthy San Francisco. Is it hard to hear? Yeah. Sorry, guys. So that's what the $2.43 is. I think that happened before I came here. I don't know what resonated with people, but it makes it almost unaffordable to do business in San Francisco unless you're thriving, unless you're doing really well. How that's related to healthcare is, I believe when the Affordable Health, the ACA came into play, I said, why don't we declare victory? Because it's here, we don't need to do both, right?
That's my goal.
And I think that's what's happening right now
It's a double dip.
with our folks.
And they've changed the whole thing, Bob. I don't know if you guys research it, but someone needs to take them to task. I do almost every other week. It's a double dip as far as I'm concerned.
So if you're interested in this issue, see me. I'll connect you with Jim Lazarus, who's handling that issue for us. He's our lead. Part of how we reach solutions on these kinds of things is convening interested parties. We do that all the time, and it's important because the Restaurant Association, the GGBA, others that have a unique interest, we're much stronger as a group than we are by ourselves. And I think that's what most of this is all about, is how we can work together. So that's...
I'm forgiving.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Sustainable relationships, business and education, come Wednesday. We'll deal with it. Yes, sir.
Can I expand on the healthcare?
Absolutely. Let's go back to that.
My comment on healthcare was it's more and more difficult for doctors and medical practitioners to do business. And being in a city where pricing is housing, office pricing is so high, I think it's a big concern, and it's harder and harder to find good doctors. And there's also a lack of supply of doctors, and that is a growing trend. And the California Medical Association declared that as a growing trend. What I'm concerned about is how is San Francisco dealing with those issues. There's a whole variety of medical issues. I mean, you can just go to the internet and search on medical news. I mean, Anthem just got how many billion of records
80.
Hacked. It's crazy, right? Security in healthcare. There's just list the number of issues out there in healthcare. And what is San Francisco doing to really assist their businesses, their doctors, the hospitals, Hills Physicians?
I'd love to get your cards. Let's trade cards, because because what I'd love to do is connect you with David Serrano Sewell, who heads up the hospital council. We're real close, we work a lot together, and have a conversation about that, because that's a real concern. I've heard it before, but I'd love to have some discussion. Yes, sir?
Well, also, my understanding is for the Healthy San Francisco, the money that's being paid into that is going to into the general fund and not being allocated specifically for the health of the employees.
Yep.
So here's what I'll do. There's definitely some concern. Why don't we?
Scary right now.
Why don't we get a session? Craig, help me get with Jim. We'll create a session to bring folks in to have a meaningful dialogue about where we are with Healthy San Francisco. Make sure Craig or I get your business card. If this is of interest to you, we will make it happen. Because I can tell you, to let it go when there's an issue that's igniting as much interest, we need to convene a group and have a dialogue about it. So we will do that. Okay. So I'll make sure I get your sustainable relationships, business and education. Come next Wednesday. It's not even a short answer. It's all about talent, involved in connecting education. Visit our education village, which is Craig. You want to talk about education village for a minute?
Yeah. So our education village is. So on Wednesday, Education Village is put together by LinkedIn. They're the sponsor for it, and basically we have many universities, higher education. We have, you guys are in the room. Thank you for your participation in it. SF State, Golden Gate University, USF, on and on are inside of there, just talking about some of the significant things that they're doing inside of their programs and their initiatives. And then we're going to move into the City Beat opportunity, which is an 8 to 10 program. So let me go back. 7 to 8 a.m. will be LinkedIn Education Village. From 8 to 10 at City Beat on March 4th. 8 to 10 a.m. will be the program itself. And then from 10 to 11 a.m. we'll be back into the education, LinkedIn Education Village. So it's really just an opportunity to understand what our universities, what our higher education is doing in San Francisco to make it a better place to work, attract, retain, develop talent in San Francisco.
Tell them about the triplets.
Oh yeah, we're going to have the triplets, of course. So the triplets are not my 3 daughters, of which I don't have, but there are 3 championship trophies from the Giants are going to be on hand as well. So we're excited to have those there, and you can get your photo taken with those. And we have some great speakers, and we hope you can join us on March 4th.
And there's a card, a promotional card out in the lobby. If you're interested, Teresa out in the lobby can give you that information. So affordable housing, huge issue, right? And the mayor's committed to 30,000 units over the next 5 years. That probably won't affect the economy relative to reducing prices. It just hopefully will make the supply bigger. Our hope is that we recognize that it's not only affordable housing, meaning low-income housing, it's middle market housing that's needed, housing that accommodates children. You see, one of the demographics that's sad about San Francisco is less than 13% of our population is 18 years or younger. So what that means is that we're not bringing people up to our school system that are going to be sustained here longer than they're 18 years old, right? So that population base is really, really low, the lowest of any metro in the United States. So we have to do something about that. Now, the mayor of Oakland launched an idea that why doesn't San Francisco invest in affordable housing in Oakland? Now, the first thing that went off is people said, you know, that doesn't make any sense, but let's think about that for a minute. You get to West Oakland, from the West Oakland BART station in Montgomery, a lot faster than you can get from Chestnut and Webster to Montgomery. So is it, we're concerned about the Brooklynization of Oakland, or what? I don't know, but those kinds of conversations have to occur because we are only 49 square miles. We can't add any more land. We can only use it better. And I think that's what the dialogue is going to be, is how we're going to use it better. Right? Any thoughts about what I said? Yes, sir.
I do have perspective. I'm a small business owner. It's called an apartment building. And I would love if the chamber included in its circle those of us that own buildings. My commercial friends have no rules when it comes to evictions and new tenants. I do. I'm a business owner. Cash comes in, cash goes out. It's not part of your circle. I know that, out of due respect. But if you really want to get business, talk business, how about those of us that own a business? It's called land. It's called a building. And you can really address affordable housing. No one's talking to me about my property. Yet I got handcuffs called rent control board rules from City Hall. So, CEO, big vision. I just hope you one day make that vision really big.
I'd love to have a one-off with you and understand.
I would love
parameters of it. Yeah.
Out of respect, I say.
Oh, no. I didn't get this good looking just because I did take a few punches. So I appreciate your thoughts on that. That manufacturing space, you mentioned that, sir, right?
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on the scope of that.
Well, we talk about being business friendly and development, and that development tends to take warehouse space and manufacturing space away from the base now and turn it into something that it currently is not. So we're developing ourselves away from manufacturing, and you know we tend to be lower wage jobs, and it's not a kind of a sexy environment, but it's a great way to bring jobs that are lower wage and bring more people into the city. But you have to have the space at an affordable rate.
Yeah, and I'm with you. We collaborate a lot with SF Made, which is the makers movement here in San Francisco. I do a tour. I have done a tour since I've been here twice of that area of town, Dog Patch primarily. Fascinating location. Some great companies. We tout ourselves about Ghirardelli and C's, but they've got a couple of chocolate places in there. I don't know about you, but hand over the chocolate, nobody will get hurt. So I think we've done some pretty creative things in the manufacturing space, and the good news is that it's actually growing. The bad news is there's not much more room for growth.
No.
And how do we accommodate that? It's going to be definitely a challenge. Perhaps we ought to. I have Kate Sophus from SFMA come around and have a dialogue about some of the things they're talking about. We have great collaboration. Yes, sir.
Yeah, on that note, I know Tech Shop is doing something with some of the Silicon Valley companies. There's actually a rolling mobile tech shop now. I think Fujitsu is sponsoring it. They tow around a trailer, and in the trailer are something like 2 3D printers, software, laptops, and then kids will actually go from school to school, and kids will go in and play around, almost like the book and trails, or book and trailer type of situation if you're going through the book. This is about making, you go and make 3D printing exercises, manufacturing.
There's also we have a lot of empty retail spaces, and there's operations like storefront.com or whatnot, and SF Made. You have so many great actual artisans that are designing stuff from scratch that are working with the SF Art Commission, and every day they set up down here. So if we could find maybe a large retail space and subdivide it into a rotating monthly residency within these commercial spaces to promote local manufacturing at a small scale. So the actual heartfelt soul searchers that are doing their passion and their pride have the ability to not have to schlep their stuff every single day just to go out to Justin Herman Plaza. I speak from being an entrepreneur in the leather goods industry, and it's very cost prohibitive to actually get into a space within the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, I think I wrote a word incubator down below. I think that's becoming more and more prevalent in a lot of areas. Look, we're running short of time. I want to not, yeah, Craig,
I just wanted to mention one thing to you, sir, that had the comment about owning the business, and you own the building as well, correct?
Yes.
I mean, there's something about legacy business that, you know, when that conversation takes place, because there could be the potential of a break, right, Bob, that we're tracking right now?
Yeah, and it's companies that have been in existence for 30 years or so,
So
that this may or may not apply to him.
May not apply
But
to
the
you.
important thing is that it's through this kind of conversation that results can happen. And, you know, we didn't come here just to make a list and then throw it away. We did it because we wanted to hear what you had to say and engage in deeper dialogue about opportunities for the discussion. So I appreciate that. If I didn't get your card, please make sure I get it, and particularly, and if you have an interest, if it's SF Made or if it's healthcare, whatever it is, make sure we talk before you leave. Other than that, I want to thank Mark and his partners once again for sponsoring the event. I'm kind of glad that, you know, when we did the CEO reception, they actually had a table of scotch over there, and most of the bottles were empty by the time they left. I'm glad they didn't do that tonight because we have a board meeting tomorrow. But I also want to thank all of you for attending. If something piqued your interest, please talk to one of us. Camille up here is with us as well. Craig in the back. Marshall Wilson's back there somewhere. We're here for you, and it's an opportunity to get engaged and get to know you better. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you.